Well,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Very
okay.
good. I'm glad. This is, well, I'm teaching you something.
Yes,
new.
you are. I've never thought about doing this. I like it.
This is a lot more fun for me
Yeah.
than the phone.
Yeah, the phone can be kind of intimidating, especially you have to put it like you have to find a way to pop it up, and this is a good angle, and I don't know, get it by like tripod.
And with the pop
Things.
socket, and that makes things a hot mess. And
Yes.
speaking of a hot mess, welcome.
Hi. We're here.
Here we are. Welcome to Well Done Life with Daphne Smith and my
Helen.
featured female today, Helen. I'm super excited about what we're going to talk about and that you are taking time to join us. So thank you for that. And I really just want to jump right in because Helen and I were talking beforehand and we could talk for a long time and
Yes.
we're not going to do that. So want to stay really focused. So for those of you who do not know, this is Helen Elizabeth. And Helen Elizabeth, I officially met you. It was really earlier this year.
Yes. I saw you speak at the Win Luncheon. That was my first time that I actually met you.
So that was like a year ago.
Yes.
That was a year ago. Yeah. And then we finally got to
and then we got to
face.
see each other again. The next time I came to Win, I got to speak.
You were
at
speaking.
it. Yes. And
Yes.
so I got to reconnect with you and get to talk with you and go to lunch and stuff. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I love all of that all, because I remember when I met you, I was so inspired by what you said, and it was loved hearing you had this great thing about with a backpack and you're pulling things out, and I was like, that was so good. All of a sudden, I gave up to you, and I don't even know if you remember this. Like, I just want you to know, I thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate and love what you just said. And so I think it's cool that then you came up to me the next time and said, let's get together. That was really cool.
Absolutely, full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. The plans. The grand scheme, we have no idea what it is.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's a beautiful thing. And we just one day at a time get through it, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back even beyond a year.
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to tell everybody a little bit about you. And I'd asked Helen some questions in advance. And one of the questions was, when you were a little girl, what were those little girl dreams? Because I believe we all have them.
Absolutely.
And somewhere along the way, life happens, and sometimes we veer off and away from those dreams.
Right.
But take us back when you were a little girl. Tell everybody, what'd you want to be? What'd you want to do? What were those aspirations?
Well, when I was a little girl, I was adopted, and so it was just me. I was the only child, and I obviously had all my parents' attention. And sometimes I like that. Sometimes I was like, can I just have a brother or sister so y'all can just pick on them for a while,
Yeah.
But when I remember just as soon as my memory going back, me actually playing, I know I did a lot of pretend, but my favorite things to do were to act or to, just get up on a stage or get my parents to watch me do something. And so I always wanted to be, I thought, an actress. As I got a little older, I learned to write. I started learning to read. I started loving books, and I started loving writing, and I wanted to write books and have my mom read them. And, I started doing all. So then I thought, man, I kind of want to be a writer, or I want to be this. And so my thoughts all kind of lined up as far as I want to be speaking to people, acting, make back. I always looked at it like I like making people happy. I didn't realize later God was going to use that for a different purpose. And it wasn't actually, I met a woman, and she told me, the things you like to do, she wrote a book on like the things you like to do when you're a kid, the things that no one's taught you to do, you just start, like, you like to teach, or you like to, a lot of times those are what drive our passions when we're older.
Right.
And that spoke so much to me because it took me all the way back to playing and making my mom watch me put on a play or read her a book that I wrote or do something along those lines, and how much I love and desire to do those things now. Right.
And speaking of books, Helen actually has a book coming out. When is the official release date?
So I actually don't have my official release date, but we know that we want it to be, I actually told you, I thought it was going to be, I think at the end of around November, but my editors were talking about December because it just went along with the time period of the book and everything that happened in December. So that it probably would be better to put that, to have everything ready to go during December, and it being a really good time to match the book.
Right. And so can you tell everybody what the title is? Are you at liberty to say,
no,
or we're still working? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So anybody who's ever written a book, or if we're thinking about writing a book, let us share this with you. It's called a working title for a reason. It's a working outline for a reason, because it's subject to change. It's a great guideline. It gives you that direction, that path, so that you're not chasing
Right.
rabbits like I do on sometimes my Facebook
Oh,
lives.
absolutely.
But
Right.
so I promise, let me just make this commitment to you. As soon as I hear from Helen, you'll hear from me.
Absolutely.
And you will know where and how to get Helen's book and what the title of it is.
So, I will say that if you're talking about the working title, I could say that it's more of like, I call it finding hope in tragedy. How to find hope in tragedy. So that's kind of that's how I keep my brain. Right. Does this, like you said, no rabbit hole, so I can say, is this helping someone overcome a tragedy or something that they're going through? If it's not, it's probably just me telling a random story.
Right.
So that's kind of been my focus.
Okay. So with the book, and we talked about you were adopted, and then you had these little girl dreams, and now you're writing a book, and where we start off as a little girl and where life takes us,
right,
and pushing through. You also have, is this considered your personal brand? My best new self?
Yes, that is my brand that I have finally decided on. And it was fun through writing. I mean, when you write, I will say that you discover so much about yourself and what you believe and what you stand for. And through writing, I finally figured out what I desire for women is to help them become their best new self, meaning your best self, but in Christ. Right. So I want you to not just be the best, the most fit, or the healthiest, or I want to help you be those things, but in order to glorify God.
Exactly.
And making that the pillar of everything. Exactly.
And I think what's so important for those of you who are new to Helen, who are wondering, well, what's kind of this backstory here? And I haven't mentioned the P word yet.
Yes.
But I'm gonna go there. Helen is from the pageant world.
Yes.
That's not who you are completely.
Right.
It's definitely part of your story.
Yes, it is part of the story. I feel like people think, oh, so you're this pageant girl. I only did pageants for like 2 or 3 years. I did multiple in that year, but I started late and then I won kind of quickly. So I was like, well, hey, but I was kind of in and out, so people were like, oh, how did you do all these things? I was like, really, I'm not necessarily the person to go with that. But my mom always wanted me to wait till I was confident enough in who I was that someone else judging me or deciding, and not even just like you're less than another, but maybe this girl over here was the best her that time, that wouldn't bring me down. And I'm so glad she did. I mean, by the time I finally did pageants in the year that I won, I'll say I was finally in a mentality that I knew, like, mainly, we were always growing, but I knew who I was and I was okay with who I was, whether or not I was told that I was the best.
Right. So shout out to Helen's mom for being wise enough, for caring enough about you to maybe not always give you what you wanted. I could go off on a parent rant, but I'm not going to.
I heard the word no. I have one story about my dad doing it. My dad told me no one time in the car because I was asking him to do something that I always thought, and I was like, just asked him, like, oh, will you let me do this and this and this? Because I knew he would say yes, and he said no. And I go, what? Like, I literally was like, what? But it's just this. And he's like, no. And I asked him why. He said, well, sometimes you just have to hear the word no. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe that he just said no for no reason. But I mean, it taught me sometimes you just have to hear the word no, and there's no reason why. It just happens.
Because I said so.
Right.
And again, she's turned out perfectly fine.
Yes.
So, no major scarring and, so no was okay.
I mean, honestly, I will tell people in a weird way, I kind of wish I heard no more often when I was younger. I wish I would have been disciplined more often when I was younger, so that now, like, this whole best new self thing, it wasn't so hard. It's hard because I didn't have to learn discipline as much, right? And not that my parents really disciplined me, but I just mean not saying no to your kid all the time, but I can see the power in helping them.
Strategic no.
Yes.
Strategic
understanding when this is going to help my child.
Yes, absolutely. And so your parents were big encouragers,
very much
even when they said no, growing up. And tell us a little bit about where along the way, because we all need I think really more than a cheerleader in life, because cheerleaders kind of come and go. They're actually seasonal, right? I mean, I'm thinking about we're going into football and basketball.
That's a really good way of looking at it.
So they're seasonal, but a true encourager, somebody who wants our absolute best for our best sake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us a little bit. In the questions you mentioned your parents and some friends, but tell me a little bit about the encouragement from others that you received along the way.
Absolutely. What I loved about my parents was that they told me no and they needed to say no, but they were never scared to say yes to an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So like they were never scared when I said, I feel called to ministry. I feel called to help women and to write and to speak. I don't know how that happens, but it's going to happen, but I feel called. I expected my parents to immediately go into, oh, Helen, you have a safe job right now with benefits and, and security and
parents.
Right. And, my parents like started kind of crying or like, we're so proud of you. Do it. And I remember telling thank you for not just crushing that dream.
Yeah.
Thank you for not telling, yes, you need to tell me to be wise with things, but thank you in that moment, recognizing that God was stirring something and I needed to hear the yes then. And their encouragement helped me. I started getting speaking engagements. Then I got contacted to write a book. I didn't even have to ask them. And that was huge for me. And so everything kept leaning. My parents kept saying, I really do feel God's calling you this. I really feel like God's calling you to this. And finally I had to make the decision. Do I quit my day-to-day? I used to be a teacher. And so do I quit this to do this other thing? And they were like, well, Helen, you have enough speaking engagements to do this. You have the ability, you have an opportunity. God's called you. You can't walk away. And so my dad had to help me write my resignation letter and make me press the send button.
Cool.
But it was cool to see my dad right beside me saying, okay, press the send button. Help me, like God's calling you to this. So that was it. And then we talked about my friends. I was always so drawn to people. Even when I came and talked to you after that, I heard you speak, people that motivate me because they just because they're growing in a certain area or because they're really good at something. And so I would go to these girls and become friends with these people that were driven and wanted these things. And somehow I always found these really nice people that would want it for me too. And I have been so encouraged by my friends who have said, Helen, what you're doing is awesome. Can I help you? What can I do? They tell me not to give up on my dreams. And I know that that's we talk about how hard it is to find genuine friends.
Yeah, because I'm thinking right now about high school girls. Okay, that's high school girls, not really my demographic, especially going natural, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, lady, I'm not going to pay attention to her. But I've got a young, beautiful woman here, and they may be like, oh, what does she have to say? So it makes me think of high school and college, younger women, and it's hard, especially for women. And what you mentioned going up to people.
Oh, yes.
So was that scary for you at times?
Always. I was always terrified, but I can remember very specific times growing up. Every single one of my best friends along the way, I went up and asked them to be my best friend. Like I was asking them out. Like I was asking them, will you be my best friend? Those were the actual words that came out. And funny enough, all of them were like, yeah, I guess so. And then we became best friends. But it was always scary, but I knew that I saw something within that person. They were kind to others. I could tell that it wasn't like I just decided. I always watched them. Right. I saw them be kind to others. I was interested. Are they driven? Are they a happy person? Are they, and I would watch, and I didn't care what they were associated with. If they did drama, or she did cheer, or she did, if she was the smart kid. I never thought about that. I just thought, do I like you? The character.
That's the word that's popping to my mind.
Yes,
is
the
a
character.
true character.
Yes. Do I like that?
Right.
And then I would just go up and I would speak to them, and I would stop letting labels of what is cool and what is, what's going to help me with my status. I let that go. And not that I really even thought about it. I don't think when I was younger, but then when I started to think about it when I was older, I just learned somehow to let that go, because I cared more about meeting people that were encouragers than I did being in the group that I thought might make me have some kind of status.
Right. And here's something else that's popping into my head. Character surpasses charisma.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the charisma can be that shininess, right?
Absolutely.
And shiny tarnishes. Character
You'll always, that will always win out. You'll always see it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
and we were talking about where do we find them?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would encourage people, find what you're passionate about. I mean, like we talked about, you met one of your close friends at a conference. I've met many of my close friends at conferences because we were both wanting to better ourselves, and then we find someone else that wants to better themselves, and that's the person that's going to encourage you and help you rather than kind of look at you like you're doing what.
Right, right. So, surround yourself with like-minded individuals, and that I know can be a very overused phrase. However, it's a good litmus test. If this person has something in common with me, it's a good starting point. Right, and then you can dive a little bit deeper. I love that most of your best friends are people you asked. People you took that initiative, and when we have that courage, or sometimes it's just plain crazy and you're willing to take a risk, to make yourself vulnerable, because the other side of yes is no. Right. And realize that, hey, that's okay. I'll survive. I'll move on. I'll move on. And I heard something yesterday that was kind of funny, and I'll try to really enunciate so that it's not misconstrued. But the phrase was, get off your ask. Ask, A-S-K, get off your ask. Yeah. And
don't be scared to ask.
Sitting there, I wonder, what's she gonna say? What's he gonna think? Get off your ask and go find out. Right. That's so cool. That's so cool.
I love that. I was thinking that too about the help, like asking for help. Sometimes you just, that's kind of what I was doing. Like, I want your help. Like, I want to grow. I want to learn from you. Honestly, that's, if I could break it down why I asked these people, that's why. It was like, I want to learn from you. I want to grow with you. I want to figure out life with you as your friend. And so that is really cool to me. You just have to be okay with asking sometimes.
Exactly. Very cool. Now, I know one of the other things, and we've already talked about faith and God. So I asked Helen, I didn't want to make it be a total pop quiz, but I want to introduce you to the HEV, the Helen Elizabeth version of your favorite scripture. So what is something that gets you through the tough times and the motivation and the day-to-day, something kind of an anchor for you?
Mine would be to love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your spirit, and with all your strength. And I know that a lot of people say that one or know that one. But the reason why I use that, or I think about that all the time, is because it encompasses all aspects of our life. Not only, he's talking, like, when they wrote that, it was talking about what you what's in your heart, like what do you treasure, but also what you think about, also like your body, how you take care of yourself. But more than that, I find that the simplest things that Jesus asks us to do are often the hardest things. Like love God more than anything, basically love God more than anything else in your life. And that is easy to say, yeah, of course. But then when you really sit down and think about that, it makes you think about, oh wait, that means if I lost my husband, if I lost my job, or if life isn't looking the way I thought it was going to look, or I'm just not happy with what my life is right now, or whatever it is, you have to choose to love God more than that. That's the hardest thing in the world to do. And yet when you can do it, it's the most freeing, and it is the most empowering. And it has helped me find so much to be thankful for. And in the moments, of my darkest moments, I've thought about that, and I thought, okay, God, I will choose to love you more than this. And somehow through that, I have found peace that's gone beyond understanding, and I have found joy again. And I have been lifted up because God knows he can carry me. I know that he can carry me. We have that direct relationship because I'm allowing myself to be open to him versus focused on my problems.
Yeah, your immediate circumstances. Right. And we talked a little bit about you being adopted, and that can definitely be, a trial and a triumph. Right. You mentioned losing your husband, and you have lost a husband. Yes. And that was definitely a tragic event in your life. And yet here you are today, and you are living beyond and through all of those things. And what I would like to do is, I'm having a great time talking with Helen. And the cool thing is we live in the same state. So she's never really that far away from me. However, there's an opportunity where others are going to be able to hear about you. And I think this kind of ties in to what we've been sharing. You are going to speak on October 20th. Where in Arkansas?
Sheridan, Arkansas. Sheridan. So
that's south, right?
South, yeah. Real South Arkansas, but I would love for you to be there. It's really cool. We can stop through Little Rock and do something fun and then drive through nothingness for a long time and then find Sheridan.
There you go. There you go. Now, what you're speaking at, and so we're going to give a little shout out here to break the silence. The name of the event is Victim to Victory.
Yes.
We've all had hurts in one way or another. And what we do with and as a result of those hurts impacts every day of the rest of our lives. And Brittany Blackerby, Break the Silence is her.
Yes, that's what she started it. It's basically a ministry that she started.
Okay. And she's bringing you in as a speaker, and that's going to be October 20th in Sheridan, Arkansas. Google it, y'all. It's on the map. I promise. It's there. It's there. So that's an opportunity to speak with you. But I also want to put here, I have a way for you to connect with Helen through her Instagram, which is Helen Elizabeth. And I think her mom did a great job naming her. Yes. Because, I mean, that's a good, not that you ever did anything.
Never did I ever do anything wrong.
Once or twice. But that's a great, like, yelling at you.
Oh, yeah.
Helen Elizabeth!
Listen to me right now. You know, oh, yeah, I can hear it.
I love it.
I can hear it. Go to your room.
Still getting a twitch. So I put in the comments her Instagram handle and it's also her Facebook page. But I also want to put her website, okay? Because this is where and how you can find out more about everything that she has to offer. I would imagine there will be book updates.
Yes.
You have a blog for My Best New Self. You've got some, and My Best New Self, again, it's that holistic approach.
Right.
So
it's looking at becoming the most well-rounded version of ourselves. And that's what I was talking about. People that I went up to and asked are people that I saw something within, and I've always wanted to grow. And I've seen that, and that empowered me to want to do that too. And so that's what I want to help other women do, because I see a lot of women who are real self-conscious about certain things about themselves, or I can't do certain things, or, I struggle with, and I want to empower them to take this whole well-rounded approach so they're confident in who they are and who God created them to be, so that they can then go out and do what they've been called to do. Absolutely.
Because I know one of the things I say a lot is, if you're breathing, it's for a reason. So if you're still on this planet and there's still a breath in your body, there's a purpose that you have not yet fulfilled in some way.
Absolutely.
And when we are living as our best new self, when we are living in alignment with our design and the way that we were created, then we are living a well-done life. And as your best new self. So I've given you guys a couple of links. I'm going to put them on the YouTube page as well, ways that you can get in touch with Helen. But we're coming up to a half-hour mark. And before we sign off, I want to give y'all a little bit of information. First of all, I always like to give a shout out. And obviously, I want to shout out to Helen. Thank you for giving up your time to me and everybody who's watching. And at the same time, I want to give you an opportunity to give a shout out. I've never done this before. So honestly, I must have been inspired. And I'm going to just keep paying it forward.
Absolutely.
So who would you like to give a shout out to today?
I'm going to give a shout out to Brooke Robinson. I love her. This is actually her house. So I travel back and forth all the time, and she's always just, very hospitable to me and just so great. But also, she has started this thing called Be Tribal Fit, and I am becoming a part of that. It's just like working out, but also bringing Christ into that as well. And so she does all about accountability and relationships and friendship, and I just love that. So,
is there actually a website already for that, or what?
There is.
What can I type in here?
So just be like B, and then
B-E?
just B, just the
letter B,
and then tribal, and then fit.com.
Okay, here we go.
That's perfect.
Surprise, Brooke. Guess what? We invaded your house, and now we're invading your website. So that's awesome. Well, I want to thank, of course, Helen. I want to thank Brooke. I want to thank her cooperative dog, and I think her mom's hiding out in the other room to give us our time and our space. Thank you who have tuned in and who've been watching this and giving up your time. If you have anything you want to get in touch with me about, I have a new email address to go with the new website, because I'm now DaphneVSmith.com, which is a little scary because I've kind of hidden behind a brand name, and now we're stepping out.
That's awesome.
So
I love that.
It's exciting. It's very exciting. And so if you want to get in touch with me for any reason, please reach out to me, Daphne, at DaphneVSmith, if I can type and talk at the same time, .com, because maybe you need to know more about Helen. If you want to know, if you've got a question, a topic, hey, how about that? I'm going to give them a challenge.
Yeah.
If there's something you want me to talk about on Facebook Live, shoot an email to me. I will definitely consider it. I'm going to give you a little teaser. Next week, I'm going to talk about being on the move.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell anybody else yet what it's about, but it's going to have to do with moving. And of course, also Break the Silence on October 20th. You can find out about that on Instagram and
on Instagram. I think it'll be on my website, and so yeah, and it'll be on Facebook too.
Absolutely. So, y'all, for today, that's it. That's a wrap, as they would say it.
Thank
Again,
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. This was wonderful, and thank you for tuning in. And we'll just say, remember this: every day you can live a well-done life.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.
Bye.